Every day in the USA, people find themselves in court.
We are on the record. We are also on the live feed. This is People versus Dane D. Klein. Mr. Klein is charged with multiple things originally: killing and torturing an animal in the second degree, child abuse in the fourth degree, and domestic violence with a previous conviction. He's represented by attorney Jay Felt. Mr. Klein is here. One of the complainants is also present, his wife, and Mr. David Marvin is here. Mr. Felt, I'll just say, broke his ankle, and he emailed us last night and asked if he could appear by Zoom, and we said that would be fine. So everybody's here and we can start. Mr. Marvin checked in a little earlier this morning just to tell me he was going to be here because this is a difficult set of facts. The defendant pled to one count of animal cruelty, a one-year misdemeanor. He had been in custody from August 27th to August 26th to September 26th, I believe. Yes. So I think he actually had 30 days of jail credit. The matter was reduced to this charge, and I wasn't convinced I was getting the whole story from the defendant. I reduced the bond, lifted the no contact provision. The parties do have an infant child, which was troubling. And so I wanted to get more information and see what was going on. So Mr. Felt, will give you the opportunity to speak first. And what would you like me to know?
Well, since then, Your Honor, they've also gotten married as they had planned on doing anyway. I don't know if that adds or detracts from the chaos or however you may view the relationship. And I understand there's a lot going on here. It might be viewed as very complicated, and on the other hand, it might be viewed as relatively simple and not so out of the ordinary, at least. And one overriding, well, when I get to what Dane's already done, a month in jail, which would seem to be suitable punishment for the charges he finally pled to, even with all the surrounding chaos. But the immediate issue the judge had with respect to the question, what the hell's going on here? What happened here? My client was interviewed, unfortunately, way too briefly, but his witness interview, he says, I didn't hit Ms. Klinger. I was intoxicated. And I didn't kill the guinea pig or throw the guinea pig cage. That's true. And I told the prosecutor early on, despite all of the other allegations and statements and et cetera, my client will state truthfully and could be polygraphed on it that I did not hit, push, or shove my fiance or punch her. And incidentally, or kill a guinea pig, or throw this guinea pig against the wall, kill it. The guinea pig ended up dying because of his misconduct, but he didn't intentionally kill a guinea pig. So he did not assault, hit, push, shove, or punch her at any time. And at no time during all of this fiasco was she holding this child. Shauna Hayes told me that never happened. I was babysitting the child. I had the child. So I simply presented a court. That's the factual foundation And on the other hand, what did happen? They were both intoxicated. They had the night off. Shauna Hayes was babysitting. Miss Klinger did say he was intoxicated, but left out the other part. So was she. They had the night off and they'd been drinking. They were out on the porch and got into a tussle over these car keys. And a friendly tussle over these car keys about who was going to drive or who wasn't going to drive. And in the course of that tussle, they fell over and he knocked over this guinea pig cage or it, if you want to say it was thrown against the wall, well, it was, but it wasn't picked up and thrown against the wall.
All right, well, you're testifying.
I'm sorry. I thought I was offering allocution.
Well, you are, but you're stating everything you're saying as if it's absolute fact. And
I'm offering. I'm sorry, go ahead.
But go ahead. I'm taking all this with a grain of salt.
I certainly know you are. And because of your upset and comments last month, I think it merits my commenting on what I present to the court as a set of facts upon which this guy should be sentenced. Of course, you decide what the facts are, but I'm not testifying. I'm offering what others have said and what my client will tell the court as part of his allocution, but I'm choosing to offer it myself. So if I may continue, and if not, you cut me off as you choose, Your Honor. I'll simply say that. But again, I'm representing the court that my client didn't on purpose kill a guinea pig, throw it against the wall, and et cetera, et cetera. I think what instead happened here, and if he'd been interviewed, he would have told all that. He hadn't had a chance to do that. That's why I'm offering it. You instead have a multi-page report of statements from Ms. Klinger. I simply offered to you, proposed to you, that it's been dramatically embellished. If somebody else chose to label it, and in part due to her intoxication, in part due to her upset. If somebody else chose to label it a false police report, they could. I simply presented to the court. It was an embellished police report and had a lot of stuff in it that didn't happen. And at least to the extent my client says that didn't happen. And I believe there's a lot of it now being, well, Mrs. Klinger says what she says now. I'll leave it at that. Which is, I would say parenthetically, which is that a lot of that didn't in fact happen. Again, whether you call it embellished or false, that I'll leave that to other people. I simply say it's embellished. My client did not do all those horrific things that led to the charges, and it's been reduced to reflect what he did do and taking into account a corrected version of what happened, a version corrected by at least Ms. Klinger. And whether you find her not credible, or perhaps Prosecutor Marvin doesn't, I don't know. But here we are with that plea, and I offer that set of facts. I spoke with Shauna Hayes. So I spoke with her personally, and I found nothing she said to support any contrary factual finding. That he did not hit push her. She did not have the baby when this case, Ms. Klinger, did not have the baby when this did happen. And it's my understanding that after this guinea pig cage accident, she became upset and was chasing them around, and this Austin Palmer got in the middle of it and was unable to prevent Klein from being punched in the eyebrow and bleeding. But despite all that he, Klein, was not attacking her. He was simply on the receiving end of it. And there was this mutual affray, if you will, or mutual engagement of disorderly conduct. So if Your Honor found something different from any body cams and et cetera, it may shed light on what the victim actually reported. But again, it doesn't mean it's truthful, but nonetheless, it may at least allow Your Honor to determine who is or isn't being more credible here. I simply present to the court, that's a set of facts. I tell the court, and I'd be interested in if the court found out anything different from Shauna Hayes, because I didn't talk to her. And if there's a video contrary to what she said to me, was that didn't happen. Well, that would be interesting. So I'm asking the judge on that overall set of facts as you determine them to be, even in the light least favorable to my client. If you find he's a liar and he did this stuff, I'm simply going to propose to you, 30 days jail time seems realistic. Now, again, not for killing and butchering a guinea pig, but that didn't happen. So I'd be disappointed if you came to that conclusion. That's all I have.
Mr. Marvin, would you like to hear from Ms. Klingler first?
No.
All right.
I'd like to set the tone.
All right.
I know this. I know that when law enforcement first got there, she said she was assaulted, punched while nursing, and her finger was bent back. There were signs of at least redness in the finger, bruising. But what really concerned me were the animals. And one of them, it looked like while still in the cage, had its guts out of its body. Somehow that happened. Another one, according to the police report, an eyewitness, which is the officer, saw another one that when the fur was spread away, you could see that there's a puncture wound. So these animals had been damaged, injured by something. The reason we're here is because I had Samantha come in because it was so serious. And the first thing I was told is, well, I lied, I exaggerated, I made it up. I can tell you that I'm most concerned not about the two of them, because I do believe, I don't want to just throw this out and accuse somebody of this, but I do think that we've got two people with substance abuse problems and very serious need of probably therapy. And the one that worries me the most is the child who is going to grow up like this. I don't know where the truth is. I can tell you that something happened. We may not know the truth. But when somebody tells me I lied and I did it, and by the way, after she told me that, I had a very stern talking with her, and I said, you know what, that's disgusting. If you did lie, it's absolutely disgusting that you would do that to somebody. So I don't know where the truth lies, but I think that the plea was designed to hold somebody accountable the best I could without wasting any more of our precious time and money. We've got other crimes to deal with. This is two people who can't get along and better figure it out for the sake of their new child.
Thank you. Mr. Klein, anything you wish to tell me?
The cage is a glass aquarium, so when it hit the wall, it broke up a bit. But when we fell into it, everything on the dresser, the TV and the aquarium and everything went off. It's a lower dresser.
Let me ask a couple of questions. Are you working somewhere now?
Aquatic.
Still. All right. That's one of the reasons I let you out of jail. You and Ms. Klinger are still living on Portage Avenue?
Yes, sir.
Is that one of the Richmond apartments?
It's Richard Bovey.
Okay, I think he bought it from them.
Yeah.
How old is your daughter now?
Which one?
Well, this one.
He's a boy.
No,
He's 4 months.
all right. I was troubled, as Mr. Marvin was, by the fact that you had a 2-month-old child. You were intoxicated. I tend to find that what's usually closest to the truth is the first version that comes out. If I had a nickel for every time a female assault victim told me they lied or it didn't happen, I probably would be retired. And as Mr. Marvin said, the truth is probably somewhere in the middle. None of us were there. Mr. Felt wasn't there. And Mr. Marvin and I weren't there. Ms. Klingler was particularly uncooperative with Mr. Marvin, so we reached this plea agreement. I know Children's Protective Services was involved. What's the status of that?
They come in and check once a month or once.
So
whenever
you
they
still
feel
have an
like
open
it.
case with
That
CPS?
way they just make sure, everything's going good and
Well, if she was drinking,
No
she's
drug and
drinking and
alcohol.
nursing a 2-month-old baby. That's not great. Still has open CPS. So between Mr. Felt and Mr. Marvin, you came up with this deal. I've said this more than once. On my tombstone, I'm gonna put the truth is somewhere in the middle. And I wasn't there. And Mr. Felt, our days of polygraph examinations are long since past. You were showing that we're about the same vintage. Once upon a time, we had a polygraph operator on staff in the prosecutor's office. And we would regularly do polygraphs. Oh, in this day and age, no one would do a polygraph on a case like this, but once upon a time, about 40 years ago, we used to do a lot of it. It helped resolve a lot of cases. So I don't know what happened. I think you're in a toxic relationship. She alleges there was one incident where she went to go out and get cigarettes, so she's a nursing mother smoking. That's when you bent her finger back. And her friend Shauna verified her version. Then her version was she didn't want your friend Austin to leave because he was drunk. All this, and then you were jealous, and that's when a lot of this happened. So something bad happened. She didn't just gratuitously decide to call the police. In fact, I think they've been there twice. So there's some fire under this smoke.
she didn't call the police.
Somebody did. I think they'd been there twice.
Grandma called the police.
Yes.
Her mother called the police, Your Honor, about 5 a.m. after all this happened.
Yeah, I thought they'd went there. I thought they'd been there twice. And these animals were, well, they knew the names of them. They went by one and she told them what happened to them. So I have some bad feeling about what's gonna happen next, but let's hope for the best. As Mr. Marvin indicated, what he had to work with is what he had to work with. I'm gonna order 31 days in jail, credit 31. CPS is involved. I'm not gonna do a probation. But I would like to hear like nothing more about this, meaning you guys get your ducks in a row for the sake of this child, smoking, drinking, fighting, drunk friends over the house, just bad situation all the way around. Any money I take from you will be money away from your family. I'm gonna order a $75 crime victims' rights fee and a $50 state minimum fee. Turns out you got 31 days in jail for everything that went down. And I don't think any of us are gonna know exactly what happened. But as I indicated, I think the truest version is closest to the first version. 125, I'm gonna give you until December 6th. 8th. I can't make the fine any lower than that. 31 days jail, credit 31 days, $125. And continue to cooperate with CPS.
You can, do you have the money right now?
No.
You can go out and go to your right and then pay it then.
If you're gonna pay it right now, I'll have the bailiff take the file out. Ms. Klinger, good luck to you.
He just wanted to know where to.
Oh,
pay
right
it.
down here. All right.
He does not have the money.
You're
to-
free to go. You pay it by credit card. There's instructions in there. You can send in a certified check or money order or pay in green cash right out there. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Marvin.
Thank you.
Judge, your summary sounded like an old Rolling Stones song. Thinking, drinking, smoking, fighting. I should have run away, but I was on my own.
Well, you sound like a Jimmy Buffett song. I broke my leg twice, had to limp on back home.
There you go.
Alternate verse. All right,
Thank you,
Mr.
Judge.
Fellow, good luck tomorrow with your
Thank you so much.
recovery.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Marvin.
Thank you. Stay out of trees.
Stay off horses. Good morning, Mr. George.
Good morning, Judge. How you doing?